Hi everyone, Trina here. And in the last video, I was talking about how I've been having some downloads and information. And like I said, the way this comes in, it's visions, pictures, feelings, emotions, and you just try to put them together as you receive them. So, we've been getting into this information about Atlantis, and I was seeing many of the things that I was seeing in Atlantis. And I mean, even if we were all there at the same time, we all saw different things and different parts of it. So know that this doesn't mean, if you're seeing different stuff, it doesn't mean that that's not accurate. It's probably very accurate, because we were all living different lives at that time. So of course we were all going to be seeing what was in our life, like whatever occupation you did, whatever. So we were all going to have different parts of this. So I've been told, try to share some of the parts that you remember. So I think we were absolutely, the initial destruction was through a scalar wave destruction, and it destroyed the entire planetary grid, which made all the continents break apart, water shift, everything. It was like it was a mess, and it was done through powerful technology that was being used in a warlike fashion. And the intelligence of the planet, the intelligence of the energy was so powerful, it literally consumed itself in its own destruction, because it's almost like in the fifth dimension. Like in the third dimension, we don't have time. We have time between what we think about and what shows up in our reality. In those higher dimensional resonances, what you think about comes about almost instantly. So things can change very fast according to the consciousness of the collective. So this was what I saw, it was a consciousness problem that started to develop through the chimeras and through all the genetic manipulations. It was literally creating abominations. And these energies were intense on Atlantis. So I was seeing a lot of the chimeras and a lot of the different science that was happening, a lot of the crystal cities. We were tricked by demonic spirits for technology to transfer our genetic codes. We lost some of our books of life, and we couldn't get them back. This caused a fractaling of our minds. It caused a depression. It caused a collective effect to us. The flood was part of to clean up the genetics on the planet that were so completely wrong. Many were trying to find their way back to the original codes, but it seems that they were lost, and we were tricked out of them somehow, brought down into a deeper genetic code. And what I was being shown was that the code went from the GNA to the DNA. And the GNA, let me see where I wrote this. Okay. Let me start at the beginning. Okay. So Atlantis, these are just some of the things that I remember. There was hardly any sickness, if any sickness at all. It was remedied very, very quickly. I don't remember seeing old people, so I think many people always carried the appearance of somewhere in their 30s. I do remember children, but not many. Not many. But I do remember children. We had no government. There were councils of light, and elders that ran everything. And the demonic forces got into these elders, literally like a virus, almost like an infection is what I saw. And then they started creating not so good things. There was no pollution. There was no cutting of trees. The trees were ancient and they were huge. The gardens on the planet were profoundly beautiful. There was a reverence of nature. We understood its importance, we understood its role, and we understood our cooperation that was needed with it. And it was understood in this civilization. Many lived in the city, and many lived out in the gardens. They were called the gardens. So either you lived in what they would call the complex, or you would live in the garden. So people lived different ways, and it was all okay. It didn't matter. Everything was allowed, and it wasn't a problem. The cities were very advanced. The technology is beyond our comprehension. I don't remember seeing any kind of motor cars. They might have had those out in the gardens, but the technology was unbelievable. They probably more had hovercrafts or small hoverboards, small devices where they could travel on the pathways like an escalator, but it would be above the ground. So you literally just jump on the hoverboard and it would go where you needed to go, and it automatically knew how to follow the trails. I don't know how to explain that either, but it knew how to follow the path. Crystal tech was amazing. Most healing was done with light, sound, and color therapy. This is how we could manipulate the genetics so profoundly and so fastly. The lives were much longer. I think, like I said, I don't remember seeing people get old, but I'm pretty sure this might be in reference to the biblical age times. I'm thinking that we could have even had lifetimes around 800, 900 years. And when you felt you were complete, that was when you would depart the system in your body. It wasn't like an illness death. It was like a graduation death. It was a different process. So death was almost seen as a celebration at this from what I could understand, or at least that was in my belief system. It was a celebration of passing into another new existence. And it was a graduation. It was always seen that whatever was accomplished here was of great value. So when you would transition out of this, it was because you were ready to take on more wisdom. You felt that you'd accomplished most or all of which you had come in this dimension to experience and learn about. So, let me see. We were tricked. We were messed up in our own genetics. It caused such trauma to the collective. Mercury, inky, the symbols were of the pyramids and the Christ and the command, and then I saw a second coming. The second coming was the regaining of the caduceus, the serpentine energies. The serpent energies literally are our savior and also our slayer. So it's you got to understand this is working in polarity. But the caduceus, the reconnection of after we fell from the garden, because what was shown to me was when we were in the garden in the Atlantean period, which is a vibrational existence, which I'm pretty sure was maybe vibrating in 5th, 6th dimensional energies. So at this time period, we had what was called the GNA, Gnosis DNA. We knew God directly. We could hear and communicate with our higher selves at all times. We didn't get amnesia when we were born. We had conscious awareness of who we were as a soul being in our other lifetimes, and it was a profoundly different existence because we had an awareness of that we were more than just the flesh body. We knew this. It was like you knew this. So within this GNA, this was like in the Bible, it says in the garden, Adam could communicate directly with God. But then the fall, and the fall was when the serpent entered into the garden. Through the serpent, they figured out genetic replication, DNA replication. They started using RNA codes to activate replication codes. So they started making copies. Instead of the organic God creation way, they started cloning. And I see that Eve was the representation of the first clone. And this was done, I think, in Atlantis. And this was when the Mu civilizations kind of started to wipe away because they were more etherical bodies. They weren't so dense and so flesh as many of the Atlanteans through genetics and through, I'm pretty sure, chop. So same process was happening then to do genetic transfers for the people of the Atlantean time. So through this transferring, they went from the GNA to the DNA, and the DNA codes were through the cloning of the Eve. And through this, as we represented, and we now were into the fall. And after the fall of Atlantis, to go from that kind of an expression into this kind of expression, I think created such a complete mental breakdown and a trauma. It fractured our souls. And I think this is why a lot of the Egyptian tales of the people was they were literally like walking zombies. They were very unhappy. They didn't have a will to live. They literally had no will to live. And through this, I think this is when we were reintroduced to some of the genetics through Enki. I think Enki brought forth some of the genetics to repair the genetics that were lost in us. And this would be the second coming, which is the second coming is the awakening, the remembering of what you are, reconnecting to your spirit, and again, once again, having the ability to communicate and hear God, which is through your intuition, your sixth dimension sense. Reconnecting to the sixth. You're born aware of 5, but you have a 6th, and you need to reconnect to the 6th, which is the etherical part. Reconnecting that 6th energy dimensional templates of you reconnects you to hearing God again, reconnects you to the caduceus power within your spine to activate the inner eye to see and once again communicate with the divine mother and father. That is you. It's your from your original code. So it's profound how this is all going together. I'm getting this information about Pole Star, Enki, Enlil, Osiris, Isis, how the feminine has been shut off. And this is why the serpent code turned into the slayer code, because it's a feminine power and they shifted it into a masculine power. So we're dealing with the polar negative opposite of the positive feminine expression. You're dealing with the opposite. So this is why we see government, which is mind control. This is why we see all the patriarchal systems. This is why we see all of this, because the feminine has been inverted. It's been reversed. And that was through the genetics. So, interesting, because Sovereign Key, Lauda, was speaking of a blue planet. And she was speaking of how she sees this blue planet causing a lot of transition for us as human beings. And it was so funny because literally, I think that's, I've always been shown that we are governed by not 7 planetary bodies that align to the 7 chakra system, that we're truly aligned with a 12 system. And the 12 system is 5 is unseen. And obviously they come into our focus once in a blue moon. And this might be one of those cycles where these planetary bodies are going to come back into our reality, and we will once again be able to see them. It's the same thing when you are able to see God again. She says she feels that this is a very powerful magnetic planet. A very powerful magnetic planet. Well, yes, magnets will change your brain. And if your brain is changed through magnetics, your DNA will shift. And through that shifting of your genetics, we may be able again to totally feel and communicate with God. So the ascension, all of this stuff that's been the second coming of Christ, the golden years, all of this stuff, and it was all set to come in the age of Aquarius. So this very well could be the incoming blue Kachina and the red Kachina. And I do believe that these are activations of our chakra system that we have just don't remember and have forgotten and don't use. A lot of people are very aware of the 12 chakra system and even the 13. So I see the 13 is you. That's your higher self. And the higher self is what's running all of these templates through it to project you into the system. So they're one. The 13 is the 4. The 13 is the foundation of it all. 1 and 3 makes 4. It's the foundation. It's the all 4 corners. It's the foundation. It's what makes it all. So it's always starting in the Trinity, but the etherical part, the principle, the spark, is the 4th that solidifies it all. The 13th is kind of like, again, Ophiuchus, the hidden, the serpent, and it's man crushing the serpent's head, or in the old ones you see a female crushing the serpent's head. So, like I said, this is tricky, but I think it is. It's once again being in alignment with the serpent part of us, which is, I think, directly associated with Mercury, and the Mercury part of our genetics has been somehow infiltrated and shut down, so we would no longer be able to hear. And I think this is why, too, some of the pyramids have been found to have mercury pools underneath them, representing that this is how we receive the quicksilver, or the quickening, or the enlightenment of the mind. It's through the messenger, Mercury, spirit. So it's all connected. So these were the things that I was kind of seeing. And then it was also interesting because, and like I said, I know that this like doesn't make sense to many people, but for some, I'm sure it will. The next thing that I was being brought into was, we're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. His name is Wonderful. In the Bible, they call the Lord Wonderful, right? So that was like, interesting. We have all forgotten who and what we are. To play the game, you must re-enter the mind of Oz, Adam, sleeping. It's dream time, it's Delta Force. Before they get to Oz, remember, they go to sleep in the poppy field. They've been drugged. They've been put to sleep, and they awaken, and then they go and see Oz. Poppy field, Papa, Father, Osiris, Polestar, the Father's house. Papa, Polestar, poppy field, poppy, waking from the dream. When you wake from the dream, you're in the Father's house. Just like now, you're dead, you're sleeping. But when you wake up, when you drop your flesh, you're going to wake up from the dream, and you're probably going to be in Oz. Follow the yellow brick road. So, then I was hearing that. Follow the yellow brick road. So we entered a mind, or we entered a soul, or a sun, or an electrical system. To enter, you are fused with the solar template of that soul or sun. So the Lord showed me that we are Jesus. We are the same soul. We are emanating from the same sun. He is within us all. This is also why I could see many lords. When I would be with the Lord, when I was a little kid, when I would want to talk to the Lord, literally, I would literally see him in my imagination, and I would see him in a higher realm. And in this realm, when I would be there speaking with him, it was like only him and I were present. But if I would look around in this realm, I would see him with different people and different groups of people, bilocated in 100 different positions at one time. And I asked him once, I says, how can I see you everywhere with everyone and still feel like that I'm the only one that you're with? He said, because I am one with you. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So you're one with me. So we've all entered a soul or a sun or a solar lord construct. So he is with us all. He bilocates to each of us because he is a part of us. Yellow Brick Road is Christ, Christ in you. You must follow the chrism within the spine, the CSP, the cerebral spinal fluid. When you access the higher mind, it's done by activating the spine and the chakras to stimulate the inner eye or the pineal gland. This may also be accessed when you are in trance, hypnosis, or asleep. They go they go, into delta state. Then I was told that we are the delta force. We are the sleepers. We are the dream force. We are the dream weavers. We are the rebel cells, the ones who will wake within the dream. We are the inspiration, the in-spirit nation. We rule supreme. Through the dream of Oz, or the matrix, or the mental construct, we remember, we reconnect to spirit. And when we do, we awaken. We are inspired in spirit. And in spirit, we remember who Oz is. The truth is then revealed. You remember your power, and you remember that it's real. You then again remember that you are Dorothy, the door to return home. Door to yourself. DORTHY. Yourself. So, DORTY. Door to yourself. Dorothy. That's what I kept seeing. It's a little different spelling, but they were showing me Dorothy is the door to yourself. You are the door, and you hold the key. When you see through the illusions, you now become free. Remember you are spirit. Remember you're everything, but focused in a reality, focused in a dream. From the ether to the stars, Polaris, the dog star, the God star. I think that we come from there, through that star into this construct. So there might be keys for us there. So we can create a new reality by seeing the new vision. The vision of Atlantis. The vision of the new Atlantis, of the Phoenix. Because we rise, we reconnect with which is our own divine, our own divinity that has been inside of us all along, but it's just been asleep. So that's what I got so far, and that was what was running through my consciousness after reading some of the Sacred Journey to Atlantis. I thought the Delta Force was pretty powerful information. And the Wizard of Oz, the Yellow Brick Road, actually being the activation of the spinal through the chakra system, activating the inner eye. And I thought it was interesting that they showed me that, you know, we were Dorothy, and we stop along our path and we experience all these different personalities, attributes, choices, perceptions, and we learn about each other. And through that learning, we gain so much wisdom. So we're gathering ourselves back together so we can travel through this lifetime and get back on the Yellow Brick Road, and to awaken our inner inspiration, our inner I, the inner power, the Christ within you, which is the Christos. The activation of the Christos bathes the pineal gland and opens up your inner vision. So through this awakening and through the Yellow Brick Road, it's like it's showing you your whole life. It's like you're in a dream. First you were in the reality, and then you fell asleep, and then you awoken into a new world. But it's an illusion, and you just want to find your way home, and you think that you have to do all these things to get home, and you have to do these certain things and be the certain way and have these certain things, and you judge all yourself and your actions, and basically it's just so simple. The whole secret is you're just trying to wake up. So, and remember that you're more than your human experience, and remembering that the truth, that is you, that is so much bigger than this dream. And when you remember that, you are Dorothy, and you have remembered how to get back home, because you'll remember this has just been an illusion, although a very beautiful, powerful one. And you came here to help many remember that they're asleep inside of a dream, inside of a beautiful soul. And that soul is a gift to help humanity reclaim that which it gave away. And I see a large part of humanity getting ready to give away more of their inheritance. And all I can say is stay true to what you are and stay true to what you have always been. And don't let the promise of becoming more than you are ever trap you into losing more of what you truly wish to hold, which is your divine spark. So guard your spirit, guard your soul. Know that you are more than enough, just the way you are. And don't trap your soul into anything you might not be able to get it out of. I worry about that for many, and this is the difference between it can save you or it will slay you. Because if you think the gods of this world know more about your genetics than the Creator, you've given your worship to the gods of this world and you serve Mammon. So, this is what I was shown. I don't know if it's true. If it is, Godspeed and God bless all of you who decide to go that agenda, because it might be another collective trauma, the one as to which we saw in Atlantis, and it was by breaking the golden gift that was given to us through our original templates, and through manipulating those templates, we lost the most important part of them, which was our ability to hold on to our memory. And now we have amnesia, and we have no connection to our divinity until Christ came on the earth. And I do believe that that was a higher being that was literally created from above and brought to this planet to deliver new blood codes into the genetic codes, because it only takes a very small amount of people to be born on a planet with a new genetic code for it to infect the entire population, just like a virus. So that's what happened. We got a virus. But just like now, many people will choose to put things into their body that they don't really know what it's going to do to their bodies with blood and genetics and fetal tissues. This is exactly what was done before. And it caused immense pain and suffering to us as a human species. So this is what's been on my mind and weighing very heavily on my soul, to let you guys know what I'm seeing, and use your discernment and go with what you know and follow your soul's path, because all of us are here to do different things and experience different things. So for many who decide to go down that road, love and light to you, and may it bring you all your soul wishes to experience. But for me, like I said, from the deepest part of my spirit and my being and my knowing, I can't let this ever happen to my body, because I think I was part of the scientist who did the first stuff in Atlantis. And for me, I have to make that right. And I know to make that right means to guard what I have left with everything I have left. And don't let it get messed up or tampered with. So that's my spirit, and that's where it's at. So I love you all, and I hope it resonates, and I hope it helps some of you maybe find some answers to some things you've been trying to figure out, because God knows we all are. So I love you all. Have a great day, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.